So good. So cranberries are super easy to find right now. They are in season and they are just abundant. You can find them at Aldi, Walmart, all the places. And they are packed with some amazing health benefits. So I'm going to create a recipe, and it was one that I made last week and it turned out really, really well. So I wanted to share it with you here. You can also find this on the blog at styleandstewardship.com. It'll be linked in the description as well. But cranberries are just packed with polyphenols, which are amazing antioxidant properties that are going to help our body with things like inflammation and free radical damage and all of the things that can come around this season when people are typically getting, sick and having sneezing and all of those things. So you can actually eat things that are going to support your body right now. So I'm going to show you how to make a really, really quick and easy paleo, completely grain-free, low sugar muffin that you can have for a snack or you can have for breakfast. We like to do all of the above. But not only is this a quick and easy recipe, it's one of the recipes that you can kind of keep in rotation. One of the things that I like to buy, and one of my tips when I'm going to buy anything around this time, is to buy extra cranberries because they're around in the season, they're easy to find. So I will typically buy 2, 3, sometimes 4 bags of cranberries. We just got this last week and I am almost done with this. I've also bought a couple more bags. So right now at Aldi in my area, they're about 99 cents a bag. So I would just encourage you to pick up a few bags and just put them in your freezer. So the next time you make a recipe like this, you will have them on hand and you'll get all of the benefits that cranberries have. The other recipe that I'm going to share today is one that my family really, really enjoys. This one is not grain-free and this one is richer, but you're still getting really, really great ingredients because you can control what you're putting in it as opposed to a lot of the things that you might buy in the freezer section right now. And that's going to be chicken pot pie. And this chicken pot pie comes together really, really simply. The flaky crust and the butteriness of it is just, we love it. So I am making it for the second time in the last couple of days. So the pie recipe that I'm going to show you is great to use for sweet or savory recipes. This one you're going to be able to find on the blog. You can make it for your pumpkin pie. You can use it for chicken pot pie, what we're about to do. And it's just one of those great staple recipes to have on hand. It's taken me a couple of years to kind of perfect it and get the right ratio of things that we really enjoy. So I will share that as well. Let's hop into this video. So let's hop into making this pot pie. First, you're going to start with I'm just using some Bob's Red Mill 1-to-1 all-purpose. Any gluten-free all-purpose flour that contains xanthan gum will work. So I'm using a combination of mostly coconut oil and then a little bit of ghee, but you can use all coconut oil or you can use any sort of shortening that you like that is dairy free. Hey, I figured I'd pop in and say hey. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this in. You can use a pastry blender. You can use the back of a fork until it looks like this. So this recipe calls for cold water like any other pie dough, and the secret ingredient is going to be vinegar. And well, I guess it's not a secret now, but the vinegar is going to help the dough to stay flaky and tender, and it's actually going to keep it from getting tough and chewy and doughy. So I'm going to add just a couple of the cold tablespoons of water that the recipe calls for, and I'm going to mix that with my vinegar. Use any vinegar that you like, but I find that rice vinegar has a really mild flavor, and it's also slightly sweet, but use whichever one you have on hand. Mix that in, and then once you do that, you're going to mix in your eggs and you're going to mix in the rest of the water. So your dough is going to start to come together, and you want it to be you want to be able to squeeze it and it comes together. So that's kind of how I gauge how much water, but you can always add just a little bit of a tablespoon of ice cold water at a time. I use filtered water. This is what it looks like when it comes together. And then we are going to just all the same rules apply with pie dough if you've ever made it before. I'm going to bring it all together. I'm going to flatten out into a disc so it's easier to roll. And then I'm going to put mine into the refrigerator and I'm going to allow it to set up for at least 15 minutes. That allows the xanthan gum to work, the egg to work, all of the things to come together so you get the right crust. So I'm going to go ahead and roll this out. What's really important, since there's no gluten involved here, you want to make sure that you're using a piece of parchment paper underneath, because we are going to use a different process than you would for your typical pie dough, since there isn't gluten to hold it together. And this is the process. So what I find to be the easiest thing to do is to roll this out on some parchment paper so that it doesn't stick. And then I like to take my pie pan and turn it upside down. I think I've showed you this before with my apple pie. And then I just get my hand underneath and I try to do it as quickly as possible without throwing all of the dough out. But that is how. Obviously you can just take your hands, get in there and just press the pie dough in where it needs to go. It's forgiving, it's pie dough. Press it in there. Put it wherever you need it to go. Make it work. So I am going to use 3 chicken breasts. I do not like fishing around for chicken in my pot pie. It needs to have a good amount of protein in there. So I'm adding some olive oil to a pan. I'm cooking this at about a medium-high heat. I'm adding some salt. I'm adding some rosemary. Add whatever flavors you like. So we're just sauteing until everything gets tender. There's my chicken. You can always use pre-cooked chicken. And I'm also using 2 tablespoons of ghee here to make kind of our roux and get our thickened sauce going. But you could always use just coconut oil, or you could even use just a little bit of olive oil. So you just need equal parts, whatever oil you would like to use, or even cooking fat. So I'm just using 2 tablespoons. Once we cook that flour flavor out, now we are just adding in some vegetable broth. And I like the combination of vegetable broth and the combination of coconut milk. So you could use any or other like dairy-free milk if that is your preference. You're going to add that in here. And the flavor of the vegetable broth, I'm using Pacific Foods, their organic one. And the flavor of the vegetable broth mixed with the coconut milk reminds me of the old school banquet meals. Do you remember the little pot pies that used to come in the freezer section? Anyways, this reminds me of that so much, and it's so good. Forgive the lighting because the sun went down and this was the best that my camera could pick up. But we are going ahead and we are filling our pie crust, and we just set that aside until we were ready. And then you want to take the pie crust and you're going to flip it over, and then you're going to pinch the side. So you basically do the same thing as when you're filling the pie pan with the bottom crust. You do the same thing for the top, and you're just going to work your fingers around, close the edges, pinch it. You could use the back of a fork, whatever your preference is. Cut a couple of slits, and then we are going to brush the top of it with some coconut milk. You can skip this step, but it gives a nice matte shine. It's just really pretty when it's all said and done. But you could always leave that out, or you could do an egg wash. So we're just going to pop in and see what our pot pie looks like. So we just cook this at 425 degrees for 45 minutes. This is what it looks like. And when I say it is just delicious, it's so good. I hope you try it. Let me know. You can find this on the blog, all the step-by-step directions. But let's cut into it and see what it looks like. Now let's pop into these delicious cranberry orange muffins. These are so good. So this is what you'll need: some fresh cranberries, some coconut oil or your fat of choice. I have some eggs with some pure vanilla extract, some sliced almonds, almond flour, tapioca, sugar, salt, and baking powder. Super simple, really easy to put together. I'm going to start by cutting up some of the cranberries. You can cut this up, chop these up in any way that you would like. You could even do a really quick chop in like a food processor or something like that. You cut up those, and then you're going to squeeze some oranges through some sort of strainer. Here are what the cranberries look like on the inside. And then we're just going to do coconut oil or your oil of choice, that fresh squeezed orange juice, or you could use some orange juice from the store if you wanted to, some eggs, some vanilla extract, and we're going to mix that all in. Really simple to put together. And if you want it to have an even more robust orange flavor, you can add some orange zest. I'm popping in some cranberries, and I'm just giving that. It's going to be a really thick batter, but they are going to be moist and delicious. This is super simple and you can skip it, but it just makes it so good. It's just a tablespoon of sugar mixed with some sliced almonds, and we're gonna pop that on top right before everything cooks, and it just gives it a nice crunch. And then it also adds just a touch of sweetness because the cranberries do have a delicious tart flavor, and this really helps to balance them out. Until next time, your life matters, what you do with it matters. So what will you steward well?